It's always a pleasure to come here in this patch of highly biodiverse remnant wetland and dryland sort of habitats here. The birds we find here are characteristic of these deep sandy soil heathlands and woodlands, the Banksia woodlands with the blackbutts behind me, and an extensive temporary wetland system over further to my right. And the birds we find here are, if you like, little refuges of species that were once more widely distributed when these types of habitats, the heathland, the shrubland, and the temporary wetland systems were available before the clearing time in this landscape. It's quite a wide sweep of shrub and tree foraging species, the wetland birds here, that we just don't get represented elsewhere within this immediate locality. You'll see them on little dams and so forth, but this is quite a diverse, broad sweep of habitats here, which makes this site on Flora Downs is very precious to conserve, and to fence out stock and to actively try to get a grip on the predators here, the feral predators, the cats and foxes, etc. So right now, the most common bird here is the brown honeyeater that's calling away in the Banksia woodland. We've just passed a range of waterbird species over in the wetland system, very shy and retiring splendid fairy wrens, and perhaps a couple of other fairy wrens currently with young in the Melaleuca, dense Melaleuca verge of the wetlands. And here we also have migratory birds from northern WA and further, and even further north. We get trillers coming through, which are insect-eating birds. We've just had the pleasure of an encounter with a rufous songlark calling. These are birds which arrive in our spring, so now, or September, and depart in autumn. And they're insect-eating birds that will breed down here and then travel back to their northern or inland, in some cases, depending on conditions, inland wintering habitats. So we get a real mix of locals, and we get a mix, and we get these northern invaders, but they're not really invaders. They really give us a great spike in bird diversity terms, bird species richness across this broad sweep of habitats. So it's always a pleasure to work here. So now we're in some low to medium heathy shrubland, a very different habitat again from where we were next to the wetland and in the blackbutt and Banksia woodland. Here we have a different group of birds that find shelter and food and nesting sites in these very, as you can see, these very dense expanse of shrubs. We've got some iconic plants, starflower, we've got low dryandra there, the orange flowering Kunzia, and a whole range of plants here that provide a very important space for these birds and other animals, the reptiles and some frogs too, and not forgetting a massive amount of insects in this landscape that support these populations. So it's a very different set of habitat. This is a very different habitat type here from where we are, but again it emphasises the great diversity of habitats in this magical little remnant or medium-sized remnant on Flora Downs, and well worth protecting. What we have over here are spiny-cheeked honeyeaters, and these are birds that are generally found in these Banksia and blackbutt woodland on sand, this low sand country, and move through. They're quite nomadic. They'll track the availability of nectar. Right now there's not a lot of that around, but certainly there are insects with the spring flux of insect life through this system. So we're seeing these birds that can come from the north, they can come from inland. Spiny-cheek's a very arid country bird as well, out past the station country, like Moora, etc. So they're coming into these areas to find mates and food and set up territories. The little wattlebirds actually come the other way, they come from the coast. The little wattlebirds are tracking availability of food too. We do know that some do are flowering. I haven't seen the little wattlebirds yet in this survey, but at this similar time in past surveys I have recorded little wattlebirds through here. So little wattlebirds are more of a coastal species that moves across inland into these areas. But both of these species are directly competing for food source and basically territorial space. It's interesting.